You're standing at the gate, boarding pass in hand, when a TSA agent approaches with that look. Your carry-on, the same one you've used for years, is suddenly flagged. In seconds, you're facing a choice. Pay $150 in surprise fees or miss your flight entirely. This isn't some distant nightmare. It's happening right now to thousands of travelers who missed the memo about 2026's carry-on revolution. Airlines have quietly rolled out 7 new restrictions that are catching even seasoned flyers completely off guard. Miss just one of these rules, and your trip could be over before it starts. So before you zip up that suitcase, listen carefully. These 7 recent changes will determine whether you breeze through security or become another cautionary tale in the departure lounge. Restriction number 7. Smart luggage battery requirements. Let's start with the one that's blindsiding tech-savvy travelers everywhere. That sleek, smart suitcase you splurged on. The one with built-in charging ports, GPS tracking, and digital locks. Might be about to become the most expensive paperweight you've ever owned. Here's what's happening. Airlines have completely lost patience with smart luggage fires. After a series of mid-flight incidents where lithium batteries overheated in both the cabin and cargo hold, aviation authorities aren't taking any more chances. The new rule is brutally simple. If the battery can't be removed, the bag can't fly. And here's the kicker. It's not enough for the battery to be technically removable. You need to be able to demonstrate the removal process on demand. Picture this. You're at security, and an officer asks you to show them how the battery comes out. If you fumble around, can't find the release mechanism, or discover the battery is somehow stuck, your bag is getting flagged. But here's where it gets really ugly. Many travelers are discovering their removable batteries aren't actually removable at all. Some manufacturers used misleading marketing, claiming batteries could be detached when they're actually hardwired into the luggage's electronics. Others require special tools or complicated procedures that security agents won't wait for. The consequences are immediate and expensive. If your smart luggage fails the battery test, you have 3 options. Check the bag empty and buy new luggage at your destination, abandon the bag entirely, or miss your flight while trying to find a solution. None of these options are cheap, and all of them will ruin your travel day. So, what's the smart move? Before your next trip, test your luggage's battery removal system. Can you pop it out in under 30 seconds without tools? Is the battery clearly labeled and easy to handle? If not, you're gambling with your entire trip. The manufacturers are catching up, but slowly. Look for luggage labeled TSA Approved Removable Battery or Airline Safe Power System. Some brands are even offering retrofit kits for older models, but compatibility isn't guaranteed. Here's an insider tip that frequent flyers are already using. Charge your battery to at least 50% before traveling. Security agents often test the removal and reinsertion process, and a dead battery can raise additional suspicions. Keep the battery compartment clean and practice the removal process at home until it becomes second nature. Because in 2026, the smartest thing about your smart luggage isn't its technology. It's whether you can prove that technology is safe. Restriction number 6. Overhead bin space allocation. Next up is the restriction that's turning boarding into a blood sport. The overhead bin wars have officially begun, and if you're not prepared, you're going to lose. Here's the brutal reality. Airlines are cramming more seats into planes while keeping the same amount of overhead storage. The math doesn't work, and passengers are paying the price. What used to be a reasonable expectation, storing your carry-on above your seat, has become a luxury that only the prepared can secure. The new reality is this. Basic economy passengers are now boarding last, which often means zero overhead space remaining. By the time your group is called, you'll watch helplessly as flight attendants tag your carefully packed carry-on for gate checking. Your bag disappears down the jet bridge, and you're left hoping it arrives at your destination intact and on time. But here's where it gets worse. Airlines are quietly changing their gate check policies. What used to be free emergency gate checking now comes with fees on some carriers. You could find yourself paying $35 to $75 to check a bag you never intended to check, all because you couldn't secure bin space. And here's the kicker. Even if you pay for priority boarding, you're not guaranteed space. Oversized bags from earlier passengers can monopolize multiple compartments, leaving paying customers with nowhere to store their regulation-sized luggage. The airlines are betting you'll cave and buy their premium boarding packages. They're turning overhead space into a profit center, charging $25 to $50 just for the privilege of boarding early enough to find an open bin. So, what's the winning strategy? First, master the art of strategic packing. Travel with an underseat bag that contains your absolute essentials: passport, medications, electronics, and a change of clothes. If your main bag gets gate-checked, you'll still have everything critical with you. Second, board the moment your group is called. Don't linger at the coffee shop or make last-minute phone calls. Every minute counts when bin space is disappearing fast. Here's a clever trick that savvy travelers are using. If you're traveling with someone, coordinate your packing. Instead of both bringing full carry-ons, share one larger bag and each bring a personal item. This reduces your overhead footprint while doubling your chances of keeping important items in the cabin. The overhead bin battle isn't going away. It's only getting worse. Airlines have discovered they can charge for what used to be free, and passengers are paying the price. The prepared traveler wins quietly while everyone else argues in the aisle. Restriction. Number 5. Electronics and battery power verification. This is where 2026 quietly punishes the unprepared, and it's catching travelers completely off guard. Your electronics aren't just being screened for security threats anymore. They're being tested for functionality. If your device can't power on when security asks, it's not going through. Period. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Security agencies have identified dead or non-functional electronics as potential security risks. A device that can't turn on could be hiding prohibited items, have been tampered with, or contain dangerous materials. The new protocol is simple. If it doesn't boot up, it doesn't board. But here's the twist that's catching everyone off guard. This applies to everything electronic: your phone, laptop, tablet, e-reader, camera, smartwatch, wireless headphones, even your electric toothbrush. If it has a battery and a power button, security can demand to see it working. Picture this scenario. You're rushing through security when an officer asks you to turn on your laptop. You press the power button and nothing. The battery died during your Uber ride to the airport. In that moment, your expensive device becomes contraband. It's either getting confiscated or you're missing your flight while trying to find a charging station. Power banks are even more dangerous territory. The rules have gotten incredibly specific, and most travelers have never checked the fine print. Under 100 watt-hours? You're fine. Between 100 and 160 watt-hours? You need airline approval before you fly. Over 160 watt-hours? That battery is completely banned from the passenger aircraft. Here's the problem. Most people have never calculated their power bank's watt-hour rating. They see 20,000 milliamp hours and assume it's safe, not realizing that a 20,000 milliamp hour bank at 3.7 volts equals about 74 watt-hours, which is actually fine, but push higher without knowing the math, and you could watch security confiscate your expensive charging gear. Airlines are also capping the total number of battery-powered devices you can carry. 15 to 20 items sounds generous until you start counting. Phone, laptop, tablet, earbuds, smartwatch, camera, e-reader, power bank, electric toothbrush, portable speaker, gaming device, fitness tracker. Suddenly, that tech-heavy traveler look is exactly what gets you flagged for additional screening. The smart travelers are adapting fast. They charge everything to at least 50% the night before flying. They keep power banks and charging cables in easily accessible pockets, ready to demonstrate functionality. Some even take photos of their device's battery specifications, so if questioned, they have proof in seconds instead of arguing with security. Here's a pro tip that frequent flyers swear by. Create a tech check routine before leaving for the airport. Power on every electronic device, verify it's working, and note the battery level. If something won't turn on, leave it at home or pack it in checked luggage if allowed. Because in 2026, power isn't just convenience, it's proof. And if you can't turn it on, you should never have brought it. Restriction. Number 4, liquid rules inconsistency chaos. Here's where 2026 gets really confusing, and it's creating a liquid rule lottery that's frustrating travelers worldwide. The infamous 311 rule that's tortured passengers for nearly 2 decades is simultaneously disappearing and making a dramatic comeback, depending on where you're flying. Here's what's happening. Some airports have invested in advanced CT scanning technology that can analyze larger liquid containers, theoretically ending the need for tiny bottles and plastic bags. Sounds amazing, right? You could finally bring that full-size shampoo or your favorite coffee through security. But here's the kicker. The rollout is painfully inconsistent. Major international hubs like Atlanta, Dallas, and Denver are already using the upgraded scanners, but smaller airports are years behind. That means you could fly out of one airport that allows full-size liquids, only to connect through another that doesn't, and suddenly your expensive skincare products end up in the trash. And here's where it gets really ugly. Even airports with new technology are reverting back to old rules. In early 2024, several UK airports began allowing larger liquids, only to reinstate the 311 rule months later due to ongoing security concerns. Passengers who had adjusted their packing strategies were suddenly caught off guard, watching their belongings get confiscated. The result is complete chaos. You might breeze through your departure airport with a full-size bottle of lotion, only to have it seized during a connection. Or worse, you could pack according to new rules, only to discover your departure airport hasn't actually upgraded their scanners yet. This inconsistency is costing travelers serious money. Premium skincare products, expensive perfumes, specialty medications, all getting tossed because passengers can't predict which rules will apply at which airport. But here's what makes this restriction particularly sneaky. Airlines and airports aren't clearly communicating which locations support larger liquids. You might see conflicting information online, outdated policies on airline websites, or discover the rules change between booking and flying. So, what's the survival strategy? Pack defensively. Always assume the strictest rules will apply, regardless of what you've read online. Keep your liquids in a clear, accessible pouch near the top of your bag. If your departure airport uses new scanners, great, you'll breeze through. If not, you can pull out the pouch in seconds without unpacking your entire carry-on. Here's a clever workaround that seasoned travelers are adopting. Switch to solid alternatives wherever possible. Solid deodorant, shampoo bars, solid perfume, toothpaste tablets. None of these count toward liquid limits, and they'll save you from endless repacking nightmares. Before every trip, check your specific airport's website for current liquid policies. Many major airports now list whether they support full-size liquids, but don't trust third-party travel sites. Go directly to the source. The liquid rule lottery isn't going away anytime soon. Technology upgrades are expensive and slow, security concerns are real, and coordination between airports is minimal. The smartest travelers aren't the ones who pack light. They're the ones who pack strategically for any scenario. Restriction number 3, personal item size enforcement. This is the restriction that's catching budget travelers completely off guard, and it's turning that free personal item into an expensive surprise. Airlines have quietly shrunk the definition of what counts as a personal item, and the new enforcement is ruthless. Here's what's changed. Your second bag, whether it's a purse, laptop case, or small backpack, must now fit completely under the seat in front of you. Not mostly under, not with a corner sticking out. Completely. The new official limit is 18 by 14 by 8 inches, and airlines are measuring. But here's the kicker. Underseat space isn't the same on every plane. On regional jets, it's tiny, barely enough for a laptop bag. On wide-body international flights, you might get lucky with extra room. But the new rule doesn't care what aircraft you're on. If your bag doesn't fit completely under the seat, you'll be forced to check it or pay upgrade fees. And here's where it gets really expensive. What used to be a warning or a gentle request to try to make it fit has become an immediate fee. Flight attendants are now empowered to charge you $35 to $75 on the spot if your personal item is oversized. No negotiations, no second chances. The airlines are betting you won't measure your bag before traveling. They're counting on passengers showing up with oversized personal items that are really small carry-ons in disguise. When you can't fit that bag under the seat, they've got you trapped. Pay the fee or miss your flight. But here's what makes this particularly sneaky. The enforcement varies by crew and flight load. On a half-empty flight, attendants might be lenient. On a packed plane, they'll measure every bag and charge every violation. You never know which scenario you'll face until you're already on board. The budget airlines are the worst offenders. Carriers like Spirit, Frontier, and Allegiant have turned personal item violations into a major revenue stream. They advertise ultra-low fares, then hit passengers with surprise baggage fees that can double the cost of the ticket. So, what's the winning strategy? Go soft-sided. Rigid bags are a gamble because they can't compress to fit tight spaces. Flexible bags can squeeze into almost any underseat area, even on the smallest regional jets. Here's a pro tip that frequent flyers swear by. Pack your irreplaceable items in your personal bag, not your carry-on. Medications, travel documents, expensive electronics, emergency clothes. Keep them in the bag that stays with you always. Because if overhead bins fill up and you're forced to gate check your carry-on, your personal item is your lifeline. Smart travelers are also using the layering strategy. Wear your heaviest items, boots, jacket, thick sweater, instead of packing them. This keeps your personal item light and compressible while maximizing your clothing options. Before you fly, measure your bag with a tape measure. Include any bulging pockets or protruding zippers. If you're even close to the limit, consider downsizing or redistributing items to your carry-on. The personal item crackdown isn't going away, it's getting stricter. Airlines have discovered they can charge for what used to be free, and passengers are paying the price. The prepared traveler adapts early while everyone else argues at the gate. Restriction. Number 2. Weight limit. Strict enforcement. This is where 2026 gets really expensive, really fast. Airlines have stopped pretending that carry-on weight limits are suggestions. They're now strictly enforced with digital precision, and travelers are getting hit with surprise fees that can cost more than their entire ticket. Here's what's changed. Most airlines are setting carry-on weight caps between 8 and 10 kilograms, roughly 17 to 22 pounds. That sounds reasonable until you realize that a laptop, a pair of sneakers, and a toiletry kit can already push you over that line. Add some clothes, a book, and a water bottle, and you're suddenly in violation territory. But here's the kicker. Airlines aren't trusting your honesty anymore. They're installing built-in scales at self-check-in kiosks and bag drop counters that automatically weigh your carry-on as you process your boarding pass. If it's overweight, the system flags you instantly before you even get your boarding pass printed. And here's where it gets really ugly. Some carriers are placing weigh-in stations at the gate itself. Picture this. You've cleared security, grabbed coffee, and you're waiting to board. Then your name gets called over the PA, and you're told to bring your bag to the scale in front of everyone. If it's overweight, you'll either repack on the spot, pay a surprise fee, or watch your bag get gate checked. The fees are brutal. Overweight carry-on charges range from $50 to $150, depending on the airline and how much you're over the limit. Some carriers charge per kilogram over the limit, which can add up fast if you've packed heavy items like books, electronics, or souvenirs. But here's what makes this restriction particularly sneaky. The enforcement varies by airport and airline staff. You might get away with an overweight bag on your outbound flight, only to get hit with fees on your return when a different crew is working. The inconsistency makes it impossible to predict when you'll face charges. Airlines are turning weight into pure profit. Every extra pound means higher fuel costs and reduced efficiency, giving them a perfect excuse to charge you. They're betting that most travelers won't invest in a luggage scale or won't bother weighing their bags before leaving home. The budget airlines are the worst offenders. They advertise rock-bottom fares, then hit you with weight fees that can double or triple your ticket cost. A $50 flight can become a $200 nightmare if your bag is overweight and you need to pay penalty fees. So, what's the survival strategy? Buy a small luggage scale immediately. They cost as little as $10 and can save you hundreds in overweight fees. Weigh your bag before you leave home, and if it's close to the limit, start making tough choices about what to leave behind. Here's a clever trick that seasoned travelers use. Wear your heaviest items instead of packing them. Heavy boots, thick jackets, multiple layers. Put them on your body instead of in your bag. You can always remove layers once you're through security. The three-use rule is another lifesaver. If you won't use something at least 3 times during your trip, don't pack it. That extra pair of shoes, the just-in-case jacket, the backup electronics, they're adding weight you can't afford. Smart packers also distribute weight strategically. Keep heavy items like laptops and cameras in your personal item, which usually isn't weighed. Use your carry-on for lighter clothing and accessories. The weight crackdown is only getting stricter. Airlines have discovered that overweight fees are incredibly profitable, and they're investing in more scales and stricter enforcement. The prepared traveler weighs everything at home, while the unprepared pay premium prices at the airport. Restriction. Number 1, standardized size measurements including everything. And here's the big one. The restriction that's about to blindside millions of travelers and turn their trusted luggage into expensive liabilities. Airlines worldwide are implementing a new standardized carry-on size limit that includes absolutely everything. Handles, wheels, bulging pockets, even that tiny zipper pull that sticks out. If any part of your bag exceeds the limit, the entire bag fails. The new global standard is 22 by 14 by 9 inches, or 56 by 36 by 23 centimeters. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's the problem. Over 60% of popular carry-on bags currently on the market already fail this new measurement system. That bag you've trusted for years, the one that's never been questioned, might not pass the 2026 test. But here's where it gets really ugly. Airlines are upgrading those old metal sizing frames with sensor-equipped digital scanners that detect even tiny violations. Some airports are testing automated bag scanners at boarding gates that instantly flag oversized luggage before you even approach the counter. Imagine your bag lighting up red on a screen while everyone behind you watches and waits. The enforcement is becoming ruthless. Gate agents are no longer making judgment calls or giving passengers the benefit of the doubt. If the scanner says your bag is oversized, it's getting checked, and you're paying the fee. No arguments, no exceptions, no, but it fit last time. And here's the kicker. The fees are astronomical. Forced bag checking at the gate can cost anywhere from $75 to $200, depending on your destination and airline. International flights are even worse, with some carriers charging over $300 for last-minute bag checking. But here's what makes this restriction the most dangerous. Most travelers have no idea it's coming. They're showing up to airports with bags they've used successfully for years, only to discover those bags are now considered oversized. The shock and frustration are real, and the financial impact is immediate. The airlines are betting on this confusion. They know most passengers won't measure their bags before traveling, won't read the fine print about new sizing rules, and won't realize the measurements now include everything. When travelers get hit with surprise fees, airlines profit. Here's what's particularly sneaky about the new measurements. They're designed to fail bags that previously passed. That expandable zipper section, it counts. Those corner protectors that stick out slightly, they count. The telescoping handle that doesn't retract completely flush, it counts. Airlines have essentially moved the goalposts while keeping quiet about it. The consequences go beyond just fees. Forced bag checking means losing control of your belongings, risking damage or loss, and potentially missing connections if your bag doesn't make the transfer. Your carefully planned carry-on strategy becomes worthless in seconds. So, what's the survival plan? Measure your bag right now, today, before your next trip. Use a tape measure and include every protruding element. Wheels, handles, zippers, corner guards, everything. If you're even an inch over in any dimension, you're gambling with your entire trip. Look for luggage specifically labeled 2026 carry-on compliant or guaranteed cabin approved. Many manufacturers are already releasing updated designs that account for the new measurement standards. You don't need to spend a fortune. Compliance matters more than brand names. Here's a pro tip that smart travelers are already using. Choose soft-sided luggage over hard cases. Soft bags can compress slightly when needed, potentially squeezing through size checks that would fail rigid luggage. They're also more forgiving if you need to stuff in last-minute items. The size standardization isn't just a minor update, it's a complete reset of carry-on travel. Airlines have discovered they can generate massive revenue by strictly enforcing rules that most passengers don't even know exist. The prepared traveler measures twice and flies once, while everyone else pays premium prices for their ignorance. Conclusion. There you have it. 7 recent carry-on restrictions that airlines are counting on you to miss. From smart luggage battery requirements to the overhead bin wars, from weight enforcement to the size measurement revolution. 2026 is reshaping how we travel, whether we're ready or not. These aren't small tweaks to existing rules. They're fundamental changes designed to generate revenue while catching unprepared travelers off guard. Airlines are betting that most passengers won't read the fine print, won't measure their bags, and won't adapt until it's too late. But now you know. You've got the insider information that most travelers are missing. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Smart travelers are already adapting. They're measuring their luggage, buying portable scales, switching to compliant bags, and packing strategically. They're treating these restrictions not as obstacles, but as puzzles to solve. The unprepared travelers, they'll discover these rules the hard way, standing at the gate, facing surprise fees, watching their bags get checked, and starting their trips with stress instead of excitement. Which traveler will you be? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. These restrictions are already rolling out, and enforcement is only getting stricter. Before your next flight, take action. Measure your bags, check your airline's latest policies, and prepare for a travel landscape that's changing faster than ever. Because in 2026, the most expensive mistake you can make is assuming yesterday's rules still apply today. The airlines have changed the game. Now it's time to change how you play it.